Hey guys, I'm here with a quick bass lesson. So the real reason why scales are important. So when we pick up an instrument for the first time and we're taught something, is usually a scale, right? But we're never taught why it's important and why we need to know it in most cases, right? Most cases. And we continue our career or continue our hobby with music, however you take it, with just playing this and not understanding and realizing that there's so much more to the scale. And there's so much information in the scale that could help your playing and help you develop into an amazing player. So what I'm trying to do today is point out the importance of knowing the scale, right? And the mindset, really trying to help you mentally understand, less physically, but mentally help you understand and connect the dots of how scales are used to build harmony. So, chords, any type of chord you could think of, right? It could be a major chord, it could be a major 7 chord, a 9 chord, a 13 chord, a dominant 7 flat, 9 flat, 13. It could be any kind of fancy type of chord. Each one of these chords are coming from a scale system. It could be the major scale system, the minor scale system, or natural minor. It could be the melodic minor system, the harmonic minor system. It could be diminished. It could be whole tone. It could be from any one of those parent scale systems. But a chord is coming from either one of those. Every chord you could think of comes from one of those scale systems. I promise you that. You will start to see it as you develop yourself in music. So every chord you could think of, it could be a major 7 with a sharp 5 or whatever it is, it comes from some scale system. So if you understand the scale and you understand and you're able to connect the chord with the scale, then you're able to have a breather of like, oh, sit back and relax and be like, oh, that's a piece of cake because I know the scale. And most importantly, I understand the intervals and I understand how these intervals in the scale sound, and I understand how they sound stacked together. So what a chord really is 2 or more notes in harmony, but really what it is a stack of intervals from a scale. So for example, I'll take something very simple. I'll take a triad, right? Like a 3-note chord. I'll take it from the C major scale, the first triad, which is C major, and I'll stack it and play a chord. So this chord is a C major chord, right? Very basic, sounds beautiful, but it's coming from this scale. And of course, you had to understand what key the song is in, the context and all that stuff. All that does matter, right? To know what scale it really is coming from. But I'm talking about, for this, at least for this chord, it's coming from the C major scale. So I understood that this is a stack, right? It's a stack of so if I took it here, C to E is a major third, and then E to G is a minor third. So it's just stacks of thirds. So if I understand that it's coming from the C major scale, then I could build upon that stack and get more out of it. So let me show you how I'll develop this. But I'm not gonna play the chord, right? Because it like this. I'll play the Pregio. I'll break it up. So I'll go what I just played, C, E, G, right? Then I'm gonna build upon it because I know the scale and I know stacks, right? So the next stack will be B to get the major 7, right? So it'll sound like this. And then I'm gonna stack it again to get the 9, right? So I went up. So from G to B is a major third, and then from B to D, which is the 9, that's a minor third, right? So I get this chord, a C major 9, right? So understanding that is key and is gold because it helps you with the more complex chords, right? Like if you needed to understand where this C major 7 with the sharp 11 came from, you could go back to the scale system and you could find that, and you could realize, oh, it's just the intervals that are being stacked. So I came up with an exercise that will help you to stack the degrees and to get more out of the scale. So what I'll do is I'll do it in thirds first. So the first one here is just to take the root note and each degree of the scale and play its third, right? But diatonically, so meaning pertaining to the scale and the notes of the scale. So there's no notes outside of the scale, right? So if I took it and I played a third, whether the third is major or minor, it still is third, but I'll understand how the stacks. So I'll show you. That is possible, but let me rewind because I didn't mean to hit that one. Do it again. Right? So as you can see, I just stretched this scale that we all know across the whole board, right? And it sounds wonderful because I stack it with major and minor thirds, and I expand the scale in a way to give it more substance and to get more out of it, right? So you could do the same thing with fourths. I'll play fourths, right? So I'll start with the first note and I'll play its fourth, then go to the second note, play its fourth, etc. So I'll do it here. Excuse me on that last one. So basically, that's the fourths, right? So I could do the fifths. I'll do the same thing with the fifths. Right? So you get so much out of the scale by doing this kind of exercises, stacking thirds, stacking fourths, stacking fifths, and then basically what you'll do is to get chords, you'll do a combination of these stacks to get the different chords, especially when it comes to extended chords, like let's say a C major 13 chord, right? That's probably like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 different notes. But all of these notes are coming from the scale. I'm just stacking the notes from the scale. So if you have that mindset, it's all with the mind. If you understand the mindset behind chords or the scale, understanding how to connect the chord to the scale, you'll understand that is really a piece of cake at the end of the day. So I'm gonna leave you all with this last exercise that is really good to harmonize the scale and to really get the most facility out of your bass. So I'll go and play it right now. All right, so I just harmonized the C major scale with 7 chord arpeggios. So all I did was just took the notes of the scale and I stacked them in major and minor thirds, and I moved to the next degree and then the next degree of the scale and did the same thing, and I stretched the scale to a level where this became something more musical, more exciting, and something that I could apply and use in my vocabulary, and I could build upon musical ideas. And it's also great for transcribing, because most things you will hear in music, especially if it's some fast lick or run, will come from the scale, and it could be a combination of what I showed, which is the chord stacks, or it could be the chord stacks with some scalar notes in there, like some passing tones or whatnot. But it's all based off of the fundamental harmony, which is the chord stacks, whether it's triads or 7 chords, 9 chords, 11, 13, whatever it is. And if you would like to learn more, or if something didn't make sense, I do give lessons, and I will be happy to explain this, into much more detail, and to really show you how it's applied in music, and how I use it to, expand my vocabulary, and just get the most out of the bass and the most out of the music. All right, you all take care.